The dramatic change of the Senate leadership is the culmination of a row that has been simmering since President Kenyatta got re-elected. The tensions were initially dismissed by Jubilee leaders, including Deputy President William Ruto, as mere imaginations of the press. But this latest flare-up has left bare the gaping fault lines in the party that rose to power on the back of rosy promises of uniting the country. Enock Sikolia now looks back on the making of a major fallout that could reshape the Uhuru succession.
In the run-up to the 2017 elections, theirs looked like a marriage forged with steel. A match made in heaven. The duo, whose marching ways had caught the imagination of the country in their first time, gunning for an equally hotly contested election, with one promise ringing loudly in the minds of Ruto supporters.
Wagojee miaka 10, Uhuru amalize kazi yake, alafu wagojee miaka ingine 10, Ruto amalize kazi yake.
So in 2017, they mounted a heavy campaign machinery to retain government in spite of a formidable challenge by NASA, the nullification of an election, and even a partial boycott of the rerun. But slightly into the second term, the cracks began to emerge. First, with what passed off as a slip of the tongue or something said in jest.
Hii kijana anaitwa Ruto, unajua kila weekend anatanga kila pahali. Atakuwa anapitia hizi machorochoro.
Sources close to the president saying the head of the state and his handlers were increasingly uncomfortable with his deputy's seemingly overbearing ways. Many of them saying he made the cardinal mistake of politics, appearing to outshine his boss with his frequent statements that suggested they had a joint presidency with Uhuru Kenyatta. For pundits, it was not a matter of if, but when the now thin fabric holding the president and his deputy could finally tear up.
Usiweke maneno ya siasa kwa roho tafadhali. Weka kwa lungs. Ndio ukipumua tu after election. Akwenda.
Governor Jackson Mandago's sentiments triggered by the surprise handshake in March 2018 that not only ended the election acrimony but added fuel to the fire of disunity that was already smoldering in Jubilee. Following the handshake, Deputy Ruto was locked out by design and appeared as a man who had no clue of what his boss had discussed with his political enemy.
Mashindano vikundi ni viwili. Kuna wale wanaomwamini Mungu na kuna wale wanaoamini uganga na uchawi. Hiyo ndio the difference.
The president stopped including his deputy in his official functions, and during the launch of the Building Bridges Initiative report last year, the uneasy relationship between the former political lovebirds played in the public gallery.
But let us create and put our energies to those things that put us together.
The president had engaged the free gear. Time to bulldoze those dining with his deputy was ripe. Come early this year, Ruto's allies, Susan Kihika and Nakuru Town East MP David Gikaria were locked out of a presidential function. Uhuru had simply said, enough is enough to his deputy and his team. Fast forward to 2020, and the DP appears to be completely shut out of the country's situation room. The country is in the midst of a global pandemic, but the country's second in command is seemingly on the outside, speaking and wondering about things like the rest of the Kenyans. The president running the show with his trusted cabinet secretaries. The DP and his lieutenants left to push their opinions on social media. What was until now only the subject of opinion and guesswork, the big rift in the president's party. In a post-poll pact, Kano has risen from its ruins. Gideon Moi, the scion of former President Moi, has invaded the proverbial bedroom of Jubilee, further scuttling a marriage that was already on the rocks, the climate of a protracted divorce, and perhaps the end of a dream.
Kazi Mheshimiwa Rais anafanya na mimi ni ya kubadilisha Kenya hii. Ile tunashangaa tumewauliza wale wapinzani wetu.
It remains yet unclear what further twists and turns await the Jubilee coalition, but observers believe the latest flare-up has set off a roller coaster with an even more bumpy ride expected in days to come. Enock Sikolia, Citizen TV.